right, the offensive line guy has an offensive line to talk about. Dolphins in the second round take Patrick Paul. Big, huge guy. And that's the good side. It is a very interesting pick. We needed it. From what I'm hearing, the Dolphins, Chris Grier said he tried trading into the top of the first round. I think it was for Guyton. There's a big difference between if you watch Guyton move and you look at Patrick Paul and the rest of these guys, there is a broad difference. So I think it clearly was Guyton. And I've heard some whispers and talk that they were trying to trade into the teens to get one of the F brothers and they couldn't do it. From a philosophical standpoint, I feel at least they understand offensive line has value, and it kind of, is simmers me down a little bit. And when you're judging evaluators of talent and football guys are trying to build a team, you want to look at the philosophy and the execution. The philosophy drives everything. And so you got the wrong philosophy and the right execution, and it doesn't amount to anything. But if you have the right philosophy, at least there's a clue. And then you hope to get the execution. But if you don't get the execution, but you got the right philosophy, at least the foundation's there and you're kind of happy. So this at least makes me happy. It was mostly a good philosophical decision. But problem is there was some negative to the philosophy. It was a reach. He's a reach. And it was born out of desperation. They tried, you got to give Chris Grier, he tried twice and he got rejected to trade and get that better tackle. But again, if we had, not to get on Chris Grier, but when you don't make the right moves early, it kind of gets more desperate later on. If we had gotten Zach Tom, we wouldn't be in this situation. That was a much better prospect at a much cheaper price, but that river had passed. So I don't want to cover that too much, but you got Patrick Paul. Tehran is a guy who could go down this season. He's a guy who they don't intend to keep next year. You had to get a tackle, and you couldn't wait any longer because tackles take a while to develop when you don't get them early. These guys that were taken early, all the way up to Troy Fautanu with the Steelers, they're going to play early. They got the talent to play early. They're going to be able to do it. But the rest of these guys are most likely developmental guys. So you got to get them now, and you can't wait to back. It's hard to even get a success rate in the second round like this. So Grier had no choice. He was pinned against the wall. It will be interesting to see because you got Patrick Paul taken by the Dolphins at 55. Then you got Blake Fisher by Houston at 59. And then you got Roger Rosengartner by the Ravens 62. And then you got the Chiefs took Kingsley Sumatea at 63. And so we're going to be able to evaluate Grier's ability to pick the right offensive lineman. It hasn't happened in the past, but that doesn't matter. It's the past. I talk about a Tom and some failures. You were here right now. If he wins this one, then that's a good sign. So we're going to have to watch these four guys and see how they compare. Now, the talent level just a pure prototypical size and all that stuff of Paul is freakish. He's almost 6'8", 330. The guy's got like 36-inch arms and he can bench 30, the 225, 30. That's crazy. The longer those arms get, the leverage gets off and it's much, much harder. 30 times for a guy with that arm strength is tremendous strength. Strength and size and one other attribute is a big deal that I saw for Patrick and the strongest points. This guy can pass protect. Most notably in the power department, in the bull rush. If you watch him, he's huge. We know that. He's got the strength. He's got the length. But the biggest asset I've seen of him is his pulsing feet. When guys come at him straight ahead and they're bull rushing, a lot of times people will just plant the feet and they'll buckle. And that's not good because then you're locked in. And if you get broken, now you're out of control. But for a guy this big, you watch his feet, and when he's one-on-one, he's getting that bull rush, he's getting attacked, the feet are pumping, they're pulsing. And that is an amazing sign of technique and agility, and that is his strongest part. And it's good for our offense because it's a quick throw. So you try to go around him, he's got the long arms, and he'll delay you a lot. But if you try to blow him up and then drive back, he's going to be able to hold you up. And so that's good for the quick throw department. Now, the negatives around him, from a philosophical standpoint, his potential is so high, it's higher than the other guys that we talked about in this round. But the problem is he's not playing guard. If bend is your problem and you're that tall, you are not playing guard. So he is a tackle. He's going to be a developmental guy. He's not going to help us in that spot where, say, Sumate, I thought could be a guy that you come in and he could play guard, he could play tackle, he could help you in a few spots. He could help you earlier. He might not have the same height of potential, but I think he would have helped us earlier. Rosengard, I'm not too high on. He's got some bend issues and some athletic issues. I think the Ravens are really good. It's going to be very interesting how that pick plays out. I'm not too high on that one. Blake Fish is another guy who was a little interested. I think he could play the guard and the tackle spot. So we went with a guy who's 100% playing tackle, not going to be able to help us this year. And that's the negative side of it as far as that. But the potential is extraordinarily high. But as far as the execution part, like that his best attribute is pass blocking. That's what he's best at. We are a passing team. We're a pass-heavy team. The problem I don't like is his foot speed and his bend. He's terrible in run blocking because if you can't bend, you don't have that leverage. You're lurching over the guys. And no matter how big you are, if you don't have leverage, you're not moving. He is not a run blocker now. It all revolves around his knee bend for the most part. There's other things, technique, hand placement, but the knee bend is a major, major issue, and maybe he could develop that. Now, if you look at him structurally, he's a big guy, huge quads, big arms. He's a big dude. He's well built. Now, he's got big calves, which is important, but the bend comes from the glutes, the lower back, and the hamstrings, and those look to be a little underdeveloped. Now, there's ways he could develop his flexibility, he could develop his strength, learning how to sit, and if he could do that, then everything will come together for the most part. The run blocking, the pass blocking. His feet do get out of sorts, but again, that's because the high stance. He goes over his toes. When the movement comes, he rises up and he loses balance. It's the bend that plays a lot. The hand placement thing you can work on, that can get better. The knee bend is going to be the most critical aspect for me with this guy. And if he can get it, he's going to be a steal. But if not, the Dolphins, we're in a big season. Jets have done well for themselves. Bills, I think they're doing well for themselves. They have a lot of picks, and we'll see what happens. They're a tough team to begin with. We need picks that can contribute. If we want to win, we've got to do a lot of stuff right. I like Chop Robinson a ton, but he's a developmental player. This guy's Chop Robinson is going to help you this year 100%, and he's going to be at least a situational pass rusher of high potency. This guy, though, he might not really be able to really take control of a starting position till like next year, certainly next year, and maybe the year after that, and maybe never. He's going to have to get his technique, his knee bend. He's a pretty smart guy from what everybody's saying, so that's good. But the Dolphins, they did the right thing as far as filling this offensive line, but it was a little too much too late. There was a lot of roads that we missed past here, and the desperation kind of caught them. If they get this one right, it is going to be big, but I don't know. I do like his potential, but no one knows if this kid's going to make it or he's going to fail. He's just going to be an average guy or he's going to be a backup. We got to see. But I think it's pretty clear that this year you don't want him starting, but it's also clear that this guy's got a ton of talent. Let's see how he develops. A lot of people are very high on Butch Barry. Chris Greer talked about his athleticism, which is true, but not really. His foot speed and his bend are keys to the athleticism. But the guy is a freak of prototype size. I'm very interested to see how it compares to the rest of these guys. It certainly was a reach, but he had to. These guys need time to develop, and Teron's gone next year. And so it was kind of like, we're at the end of the road here. If we miss this, then what do you do next year? And so maybe the Dolphins are saying we're going to take a step back this year, and then next year we're going to retool. And with all the picks that we got, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. I know some people talk about trading in the third and getting some help. We need help in the DI spot. We need help this year on the offensive line spot. Third wide receiver. But Paul does at least put something in the fires to see what happens. If we miss, it will be ugly on this guy, especially if somebody else after us finds a guy that's the right guy. But if we hit guys, be very happy. But let's see. Got to be patient with him. Potential. Let's see. So anyway, guys, we'll see what happens. We don't pick again till tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Maybe we can find a guy late. I mean, if the 49ers found Purdy with the last pick in the draft, maybe we find some more guys, some guys like a Van Ginkel in the 5th, so that can help us now. We need help now. It'll be very interesting how this guy plays out. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good draft. You know, it's potential, guys. We will see. We will see. Chop Robinson's a good one. We'll see with this one. Anyway, Curtis saying thanks for stopping by. Catch you soon. Curtis out. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.